The Riyadh Accord. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to show you a chart that explains my points with minimal interruption. All right, here we go. The Riyadh Accord. Lower oil and energy prices are important for Trump to reduce American inflation. To that point, oil prices are down 15% in the past month, and that's consistent with the sharp drop in U.S. gas prices. Chart 4. He thinks gas can go to $3 or lower. In early 2025, there was a mooted Riyadh Accord. I would call it muted. He calls it mooted, playing out. We're talking about energy here, is what he's going to focus on. The geopolitics of energy are what's at stake here. The U.S. plans to increase domestic oil production by 3 million barrels per day by 2028 versus the current 13 million barrels per day. And that can't happen without shale incentivized by higher oil prices. And it will be painfully slow to occur because it takes time to build rigs and all that stuff. U.S. oil output is up just 1.7 million barrels per day in the past 3 years. Trump is taking the other option, meaning not us pumping the oil, them pumping the oil. Kind of a comparative advantage concept. Trump's other option is he's using geopolitics to influence the Saudis, the Russians, and OPEC+. The plus is important there. To boost oil output in return for lifting Russia sanctions, military support for OPEC nations. Iran deal is a catalyst to that event, to that extent. In addition, the Riyadh Accord allows global oil revenues to be recycled into U.S. treasuries. Historically the norm, but 2020 sanctions regime has incentivized oil to be traded, approximately 20% of which, outside U.S. dollar bloc. Lower oil is a big positive for Europe, Japan, China, and emerging market assets. Well. I'm going to agree with everything here, and I'm going to add something to it. I'll give you the next level. All right. Going through this quickly. See that picture at the bottom I have? Too small to read on your screen, so we'll just stay with these words here. Lower oil and energy prices are important for Trump. That's something that we had said as early as November of last year, and most pointedly in January, after reading Scott Bessent's theory on how the Trump administration in 2024, he said, would get its act together to fix the economy. We've done several pieces on that. And to be fair, it's not rocket science. You need lower energy prices so that we can do what we do best, be entrepreneurial. And you need a weaker dollar, as we said, so you can also do what we do best, cheat everyone else out of their currency strength and export. We need to export ourselves out of it. The second phrase he says, U.S. plan to increase domestic oil can't happen without shale incentivized by higher oil prices. That's right. So either we subsidize shale to produce oil at lower prices, give them a subsidiary, or we offer them as a sacrificial lamb to OPEC. Meaning, shale has always been a pain in the ass, a thorn in the side, a tool that we've used to hurt OPEC, or specifically the Saudis. So we're going to kill shale. It's going to be an Aramco victory. And then, by killing shale, only Saudi Arabia and Russia can stand tall. Because the lower oil goes in price, the more it hurts everyone who produces oil at a higher price. And guess who the lowest oil producers in terms of cost are in the world? Saudi Arabia and Russia. Venezuela maybe as well, but I'm not sure. Probably not. And there you have it. So we sacrifice shale. They sacrifice the rest of OPEC. This divides OPEC on an economic cost basis. And if there's one thing the U.S. does better than any other nation to its own people, to its competitors, it makes them compete economically with us. And guess who built the Saudi Aramco plumbing system? We did. The Saudis can press a button and pump as much oil as they want until it gets to the price of $11. Press a button. That's all they have to do. And it opens a pump. If you're in other countries, except Russia, you're hooking up another jackass to the pump to make it go faster. I'm simplifying and being hyperbolic, but I'm correct. That's how it works. We are the partners with Saudi Arabia when economics are on the line. Next thing. Notice that he says, where is that? Oh, here we go. Here we go. In the past, the Saudis would recycle their treasury, their oil profits into treasuries, hence the petrodollar, right? And by the way, that still makes sense. See, it's not about treasuries anymore. It's about keeping their money with us. So if they won't buy treasuries, what will they buy? See, they'll buy direct investment in our LNG. They'll buy upside. The Saudis aren't operating from fear. The Saudis are operating from greed. They're negotiators. The Saudis operate like the mafia. So while China may be operating out of fear, hey, your treasuries, we think you're irresponsible, we're going to buy gold. Russia operating out of fear. Yeah, they sanctioned them, right? The Saudis know that the way to win is to operate out of greed with the US. And so the Saudis say, you know what? We don't want your treasuries anymore. We want some upside, because isn't that what the problem is for the BRICS anyway? They've been the labor and the supply chains for the West for decades. And what have they got to show for it? Nothing. Now, mind you, that's partly their fault, but they've got nothing to show for it. And so what do they want now? The Saudis don't want the put. The Saudis want the call, right? That's what they're going to get. Here's the best part of it. Not the best part, but here's the kicker. Hartnett hasn't focused on this at all yet, but foreign direct investment, FDI, means that the Saudis are going to take their money that's in treasuries now, and they're going to invest in it in the USA. How are they going to do that? Are they going to sell their treasuries? No, they're going to let their treasuries be collateral. They're not going to sell their treasuries. They're going to buy more treasuries. You see, if you understand crypto, you understand what I'm saying. Treasuries are cash. And if you take the treasuries and the US accepts it as cash in its own country, and you're going to get a tremendous deal to invest in the US, in a US industry, what are you going to do? If they say, listen, we need you to hold on to your treasuries, what are you going to do? You're going to leave them as treasuries. Treasuries are collateral. The Saudis are going to buy more treasuries because they're going to be given an upside call attached to it. See, China is going to say to its people, buy our bonds, buy our currency, because it's effectively backed by gold. It's safer than US treasuries. And that's true. And the US is going to say, buy our bonds because it makes more money than treasuries. We're going to give you an upside call on our economy. And that's how the world's going to split. China, if China were to stay with gold, they will be the put in the world, and the US would be the call. And I love gold. I'm not selling it, but I'm betting on the call. And that's how it works. Of course, I'm going to buy more gold every time I buy stocks, but that's how it works, man. This is nothing short of brilliant if you're not thinking about it. But if you're up to it in your neck, thinking about it all the time, it's just logical common sense. Whether it's oil or natural gas, energy is needed all the time. Gold is produced and it exists. Energy is consumed like food, and it has to constantly be replenished. And that means dollars keep circulating. And if you take those dollars, every time they sell oil, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to take those treasuries, they're going to take those dollars and buy treasuries with them, because those treasuries are going to have upside calls attached to them, similar to how China is attaching gold puts to them, puts denominated in the value of gold. It's fucking brilliant. And it's what I would do. And that's how you do it. Look, if someone wants to pull their money out of you as an investment, what do you give them? Give them more upside to stay. They don't pull out because of fear, the Saudis. They pull out because of greed. Again, they're the mafia. All right.